Two women, identical twins with no criminal records and no history of mental illness, shocked the world one quiet morning in May 2008 when they ran into oncoming traffic on a busy UK motorway, all captured live on television. One was struck by a truck, the other by a car, and while both miraculously survived, the horror didn't end there. Just hours later, one of them would go on to kill a man who had offered her nothing but kindness. It sounds like the plot of a psychological thriller, but the story is all too real. This is the chilling and baffling case of the Eriksson twins, one that continues to defy explanation. Sabina and Ursula Eriksson were identical twins born in Sweden in 1967. They were known for being quiet and unassuming, leading lives that gave no hint of the chaos that would one day unfold. By all accounts, they had a normal upbringing. There were no red flags, no reported signs of abuse, violence, or mental instability. But as adults, they lived in different countries. Sabina in Ireland with her partner and children, and Ursula in the United States. Their lives were separate until something changed. In May 2008, Ursula suddenly traveled to Ireland to visit Sabina, and within hours of her arrival, the two sisters vanished without telling anyone where they were going. What followed was a bizarre journey that would span 2 countries, stun police, and leave one man dead. On May 17th, the twins boarded a National Express bus headed to London. During the ride, their behavior grew erratic. They clung tightly to their bags, refused to let anyone touch them, and reportedly acted paranoid. At a rest stop in Keighley Services, the driver became so disturbed by their behavior that he refused to let them back on the bus. Staff called the police, but since the women weren't posing an immediate threat, they were allowed to leave on foot. And that's when things took a terrifying turn. The sisters started walking along the M6 motorway, a bustling, dangerous multi-lane highway. Police were called, and coincidentally, a BBC film crew was riding with officers for a show called Motorway Cops. The cameras were rolling as officers confronted the woman. At first, Sabina and Ursula appeared calm, but then, without warning, Ursula sprinted into oncoming traffic, straight into the path of a truck going nearly 60 miles an hour. She was thrown under its wheels. Sabina followed seconds later and was hit by a car. Emergency responders were stunned. Ursula's legs were crushed. Sabina was temporarily knocked unconscious, but moments later, Sabina came to and became violent. She started screaming, punching, biting, and resisting help, yelling things like they're going to steal your organs. Nobody knew what was going on. Was it drugs? A psychotic break? But toxicology reports later showed no drugs or alcohol were in the twin system. Ursula was airlifted to a hospital. Sabina, despite the trauma of being hit by a car, was remarkably discharged only 5 hours later, with no clear diagnosis. That same evening, Sabina was wandering the streets of Fenton, Stoke-on-Trent, when a kind-hearted man named Glenn Hollenshed, a 54-year-old former RAF officer and paramedic, saw she was disoriented and offered to help. She accepted his hospitality, and he took her in for the night. She was friendly but odd. She constantly peered out the windows. She offered him cigarettes, then snatched them away. She reportedly said, "People are trying to poison me." Glenn and his friend grew concerned, but assumed she was just having a rough time. The next day, Glenn made lunch and stepped outside to ask a neighbor for tea. When he returned, Sabina stabbed him 5 times with a kitchen knife. Bleeding and fatally wounded, Glenn stumbled outside and tried to call for help. Sabina fled the scene, hammer in hand, repeatedly hitting herself in the head. A passing motorist tried to intervene. Sabina responded by hitting him with a roof tile she had in her pocket. When police arrived, she climbed a bridge and leapt 40 feet down onto a highway. And once again, she survived. So what caused this horrifying chain of events? Psychiatrists proposed a rare condition called folie à deux, a shared delusional disorder where 2 people, often closely related, feed off each other's psychosis. In this case, it's believed Ursula's delusions triggered Sabina's, despite no previous history of mental illness. Others have speculated about brief psychotic disorder, possibly triggered by trauma or stress. Some believe the twins had a rare genetic predisposition to delusional episodes, and yet nothing has ever fully been explained. Sabina never gave interviews. She never explained why she did what she did. Sabina was charged with manslaughter with diminished responsibility. In 2009, she pled guilty and was sentenced to just 5 years in prison, but only served around 2 years, factoring in time already spent in custody. Glenn's family was devastated. He had tried to help someone in need and paid with his life. Ursula was eventually discharged from the hospital and returned to the United States. Sabina disappeared from public view after her release. Their current whereabouts are unknown. The Eriksson twins case is more than just a bizarre true crime story. It raises uncomfortable questions about mental health, personal responsibility, and the cracks in our legal and healthcare systems. 2 women, 1 violent, psychotic break, 1 innocent man dead, and a mystery that may never truly be solved. If you found this case as disturbing and fascinating as we did, let us know in the comments. What do you think happened to the Eriksson twins? Were they mentally ill or something more sinister? And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification to receive our latest video when it comes out.